I want you to just take a second and imagine a scenario that really pushes the absolute limits of human empathy.
Okay.
Like, what would you do if the person who caused the single greatest tragedy of your entire life suddenly, and I mean desperately, needed your help?
Oh, wow. That is a heavy question.
Right. And we aren't talking about a minor favor either. They need your specific help to save their own child from dying.
Good Lord.
You would, just walk away. Would you balance the cosmic scales through your own inaction, or would you actually step up, walk into their home, and save them?
I mean, that is the ultimate moral stress test. You're basically asking someone to choose between the deepest, most thoroughly justified resentment a human being can carry
Yeah.
and like the purest, most illogical form of unconditional mercy. Most people, if they're being deeply honest with themselves, would really struggle to even answer that question.
Oh, I know I would. It's impossible. But welcome to this deep dive on the Simplified Summary YouTube channel, where we tackle exactly these kinds of massive, uncomfortable questions.
Yeah.
Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out as we explore this. Hit that like button, and please share your valuable comments down below. We really want to know what you would do in this situation.
Yeah, let us know.
Today, we're analyzing a masterpiece that tackles this exact dilemma. We're looking at the classic Hindi short story called Mantra 2 by the legendary writer Premchand, and it's from his famous Mansarovar collection.
And, Premchand is just an absolute master at dissecting these social and psychological divides in society.
He really is.
In this story, he doesn't just give us some simple morality tale. He forces us to look at the mechanisms of class arrogance, the reality of tragedy, and a level of forgiveness that honestly challenges our basic understanding of human nature.
Totally. And to understand that forgiveness, we first have to look at the arrogance, right? Premchand sets up this power dynamic immediately.
Right at the start.
Yeah. We open on a scene that feels almost cinematic in its contrast.
Yeah.
It's evening, and we're at the impeccably maintained clinic of Dr. Chadda.
A highly successful, incredibly wealthy medical professional.
Exactly. His motor car is outside, the engine is idling, and he's getting ready to go play a round of golf. Everything in this environment is just engineered to project privilege, precision, and absolute control.
And into that carefully engineered bubble of control, we get this stark reminder of the world outside. An old man, leaning heavily on a walking stick, slowly approaches the clinic. He's following a traditional palanquin adoli, and inside that palanquin is his gravely ill son.
The detail that really anchors this scene for me, though, is the floor.
Oh, the tiles.
Yeah.
Sis.
The old man, whose name is Pagat, reaches the clinic, but he's literally terrified to step onto the ground.
It's heartbreaking.
It is. The floor of Dr. Chadda's clinic is so pristine, so perfectly clean, that this desperate, grieving father actually hesitates. He's afraid he might be scolded simply for dirtying the tiles with his dusty feet.
We have to pause on that detail because it explains so much of the societal machinery that Premchand is critiquing here.
Right.
That clean floor isn't just about hygiene, It's a physical manifestation of an invisible, rigid class barrier.
That's a great way to put it.
Pagat has internalized his own marginalization to such a degree that even with his son's life slipping away, he feels he doesn't have the right to occupy the same physical space as this wealthy doctor. The architecture itself enforces his inferiority.
Wow. And Dr. Chadda's behavior absolutely reinforces that invisible barrier. He sees this old man. He sees the dying child.
And he still refuses.
He refuses to delay his golf game.
Yeah.
He tells them to come back tomorrow. And Pagat doesn't even have the courage to argue. He just stands there, absorbing this absolute crushing dismissal in total silence.
It's brutal.
I look at Dr. Chadda's behavior here, and it feels like a horrific evolution of how we sometimes view professional boundaries today. Like, we talk about building a bureaucratic wall around our time.
The whole out-of-office mentality.
Yes. Treating our skills as a luxury commodity rather than a societal obligation, but taken to this chilling extreme.
I would actually push that analogy further, though. Dr. Chadda isn't just enforcing a professional boundary or clocking out for the day. He's making an active, calculated valuation of human life.
Explain that a bit more.
Well, by choosing a leisure game over a dying patient, he's explicitly demonstrating what a poor man's life is worth within his economic framework. It's worth less than his recreation.
Man, that's dark.
Right. He's commodified his medical oath. If the patient has no economic or social capital, their physical survival simply doesn't register on Dr. Chadda's schedule.
And that commodification of life sets a terrifying precedent in the narrative. Dr. Chadda thinks his wealth and his schedule give him total control over his universe.
But the story immediately pivots to show us how fragile that illusion of control actually is.
Exactly. The structure of the narrative moves us from Dr. Chadda's illusion of controlling society to his son's illusion of controlling nature.
Which is such a brilliant thematic transition. We move forward in time and the atmosphere completely flips.
It's night and day.
We're now at Dr. Chadda's sprawling mansion, and it's a scene of absolute celebration. His son, Kailash, is hosting a party. He's surrounded by friends, including his classmate and love interest, Mrinalini.
Right.
Kailash represents the next generation of this elite bubble. He has youth, wealth, and supreme confidence.
But Kailash also has a very specific, highly dangerous obsession. He doesn't just collect cars or watches.
No.
He collects venomous snakes. He tames them. He plays with them. The text actually points out that he's given highly praised college lectures on snakes.
Yeah, he thinks he's a total expert.
He spent thousands of rupees importing rare herbs and antidotes. He genuinely believes he has mastered these deadly creatures through a combination of his academic intellect and, well, his financial resources.
The choice of snakes here is vital to the underlying mechanics of the story.
How so?
Snakes represent primal, untamable, unpredictable nature. Kailash's belief that he can domesticate them purely because he read about them and bought expensive herbs, it's the ultimate manifestation of his inherited arrogance.
Oh, I see.
He thinks his father's money insulates him from the basic laws of the natural world.
And that arrogance is put to the test during the party. Mrinalini asks Kailash to show her the snakes.
And he actually hesitates at first.
Right, he says it's crowded, it's nighttime, and the animals shouldn't be disturbed. It's a rare flash of actual responsible knowledge.
But then the peer pressure kicks in.
Oh, immediately. His friends start to goad him, they mock him, they question his bravery, they imply he's all talk just to impress Mrinalini.
It's a fascinating look at the vulnerability of the male ego, especially an ego that has never actually been tested by real adversity.
So true.
For a young man wrapped in the invincibility of extreme privilege, the idea of looking foolish in front of his peers, and specifically in front of a woman he is courting, is completely intolerable.
Yeah, he can't handle it.
His need to perform mastery completely overrides his actual practical knowledge of the danger.
So he caves to the peer pressure, and this leads to the fatal mistake.
Yeah.
Kailash decides he isn't just going to show them a snake, he wants to show off its fangs.
Always a bad idea.
The worst idea. He grabs a venomous snake aggressively by the neck, and the original text uses a very specific phrasing here, indicating that the snake did not bite out of any kind of malice.
Right, it wasn't an attack.
Exactly. The animal felt its life was in danger and was actively preparing for self-defense against an unprovoked attack. The snake strikes and bites Kailash.
Notice the causal mechanism there. Kailash was not struck down by a random act of fate or bad luck.
No.
He was struck down by the direct consequence of his own hubris. The snake, acting in self-defense, is nature rebelling against the artificial control Kailash tried to impose on it.
Wow, yeah.
He initiated the violence to protect his pride, and nature responded with lethal force.
The shift in the mansion is instantaneous and just devastating.
Yeah.
The laughter stops, the wealthy college kids are screaming, the poison works incredibly fast.
And they panic.
They rush to bring in a local snake charmer, expert in these bites, but the man takes one look at Kailash and declares the situation completely hopeless.
This is the exact moment the fortress crumbles. Think about the irony.
Right.
Dr. Chadda has access to the best modern medicine money can buy. He has a network of influential friends. He has boundless wealth.
And it means nothing.
None of it matters. The venom completely neutralizes his social and economic power. It levels the playing field in the most brutal way imaginable.
It really does.
The medicine he so callously withheld from Pagat's son is now entirely useless to save his own.
Which perfectly brings us back to Pagat. The narrative pulls us miles away from this chaotic, brightly lit mansion and drops us into a freezing, dark, tiny hut.
The contrast is jarring.
Very. Pagat and his wife are sitting there, surviving by twisting ropes and gathering cow dung and dry wood just to have something to burn for warmth. The physical disparity between their lives and Dr. Chadda's life is just insane.
It forces you to sit with the sheer scale of the inequality before the moral test even begins.
Yeah.
Pagat is literally freezing in the dark, entirely discarded by society, while the man who discarded him is surrounded by useless luxury.
And then, through the local grapevine, the news finally reaches that freezing hut. Dr. Chadda's son has been bitten by a snake and he's dying.
This is where the story gets so good.
It really does.
Yeah.
This kicks off what I find to be the most intellectually gripping part of this whole deep dive. Pagat undergoes an intense psychological war with himself.
Oh, absolutely.
His conscious mind immediately flashes back to that pristine clinic floor. He remembers standing there with his own dying child, remembering the doctor walking out to play golf. His conscious brain screams at him to stay exactly where he is. He thinks, let him die. Why should I care?
And from a logical, completely transactional standpoint, his conscious mind is flawlessly justified.
Total.
There is absolutely no rational reason for an old, frail man to walk through the freezing night to save the legacy of a man who effectively murdered his son through negligence.
None at all.
But this is where Premchand elevates the text from a standard revenge plot into a profound study of human psychology. He introduces the concept of upchetna,
Yes, upchetna.
which translates roughly to a foundational subconscious goodness.
I really want to dig into this concept of upchetna because it completely flips how we usually talk about the subconscious.
Right, how so?
Well, when we think about the subconscious, we usually think of Freud, right? We think of this dark, repressed, selfish basement of the human mind where all our primal urges live.
Right, the id.
Exactly. But Premchand is arguing the exact opposite. He's suggesting that the deepest, most foundational layer of this man's mind is actually entirely empathetic and moral.
That is a crucial distinction. Premchand proposes that underneath the learned behaviors of society, underneath the transactional logic, the legitimate grievances, and the conscious anger, there is a shared communal humanity that is almost instinctual.
It's beautiful, honestly.
Pagat's conscious mind is a product of his lived trauma, but his upchetna is a product of his spiritual constitution. And in this moment, that subconscious morality begins to overpower his conscious desire for retribution.
But the way it overpowers him is so fascinating because his conscious mind refuses to surrender easily.
It fights back.
Yeah. Pagat starts physically getting up. He starts putting on his tattered clothes in the freezing cold, but he's actively rationalizing it to himself.
Right, what does he say?
He mutters that he isn't going there to save the boy. He tells himself, I just want to go see them cry. I want to watch them beat their heads in despair.
Now, what do you make of that rationalization? Why does he need to tell himself that specific story?
I look at it as a massive psychological defense mechanism. It's like he's terrified of his own capacity for grace.
Interesting.
To consciously admit that he is walking into the freezing night to save his sworn enemy would require him to let go of his grief. He would make him feel like a fool, like a victim who's just rolling over. So his brain creates a socially acceptable excuse. I'm going for revenge. It protects his ego while his body does the right thing.
I see where you're going with the ego protection, but I would actually argue it's less about protecting his ego and more about a war of paradigms.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, Pagat lives in a modern transactional world where actions have logical consequences. You know, you hurt me, I hate you.
Right.
His modern brain requires a logical transactional excuse to justify leaving the house. But his feet are carrying him there to heal. His foundational humanity is essentially dragging his traumatized conscious mind, kicking and screaming out into the dark.
Wow.
The conscious mind needs a lie to allow the subconscious truth to operate.
That perfectly explains the physical sensation of the scene. It's like his body is moving against his own conscious will. So he walks through the night, and we arrive at this incredibly surreal climax.
It's quite a scene.
The absolute poorest, most marginalized man in the city walks into the mansion, and he suddenly holds the life of the richest man's son entirely in his bare hands.
And the visual contrast when Pagat arrives is just stunning. The mansion is in a state of absolute frantic chaos. Helpers are running around, endlessly pouring massive buckets of water over Kailash.
Oh, I want to clarify that detail for you, the listener, too. Why the buckets of water?
It sounds weird, right?
Yeah, it wasn't just panic. Pouring cold water over a snakebite victim was a traditional, desperate method used to shock their nervous system, to keep them awake so they wouldn't slip into a coma.
Right.
And theoretically, it was thought to help flush the toxins.
Right.
A very raw, physical battle against the venom.
Exactly. It's frantic, it's violent, and it represents the absolute panic of the elite when their systems fail. And into the center of this hurricane walks a Pagat. He is no longer the terrified man staring at the clean tiles of the clinic.
He's totally different.
He sits down, perfectly calm, perfectly centered. He begins to continuously chant his traditional mantras. The frantic, individualistic energy of the wealthy household is completely neutralized by the grounded communal wisdom of this poor old man.
And the imagery Premchand uses to describe the cure is beautiful. He doesn't just say Kailash was suddenly fine.
No, it's very poetic.
He writes that as the dawn opens its red eyes, as the literal sun comes up to banish the dark night, Kailash opens his red eyes.
I love that parallel.
It's so good. He stretches, as if he's waking up from a deep, exhausting sleep, and he simply asks for a drink of water.
The venom has been defeated. Dr. Chadha is utterly overwhelmed. I mean, the relief in that house is something you can barely articulate.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Dr. Chadha runs to embrace his wife, and his immediate instinct, of course, is to turn around and rain wealth down upon this savior.
Naturally.
He's ready to open his checkbook, to offer property, to give Pagat anything he wants.
But when Dr. Chadda turns around, the room is empty. Pagat has completely vanished.
Just gone.
He silently slipped away into the morning light without taking a single rupee. He didn't even wait around long enough for Dr. Chadda to say thank you.
This disappearance forces us to confront the core philosophical argument of the story. Why walk away?
My theory. I kept waiting for him to take the reward because his material reality is so bleak. Like, his wife is freezing.
Exactly. Take the money.
Right. But by walking away, it feels like Pagat is rejecting Dr. Chadha's entire universe, not just the money. Dr. Chadha operates entirely on transactions. I treat you if you pay me. My time is valuable. If Pagat takes the money, he validates that worldview. He becomes just another vendor selling a service. By refusing to play that game, he steps into Chadda's transactional world, drops a miracle of pure grace, and steps right back out, completely untainted.
That is exactly the mechanism of the climax.
Yeah.
By refusing the reward, Pagat asserts a moral supremacy that money simply cannot touch.
Yeah.
It proves that while Dr. Chadda might hold the power of life and death through modern medicine, Pagat holds a spiritual power that cannot be bought, sold, or replicated by wealth.
It's incredibly powerful.
But we have to ask the difficult question, does this moral victory actually serve him? By walking away, does he become a saint, or does he just guarantee that his wife continues to freeze in a dark hut?
Oof. That is the uncomfortable tension of the ending. The moral victory is absolute, but the material reality remains brutal.
It really does.
And it brings us to the true meaning of the title, mantra. On a literal level, it refers to the words Pagat chanted to cure the venom.
Oh.
But the real mantra is that radical, unconditional humanity.
Yes.
The chant cured the physical snakebite, but Pagat's refusal to be corrupted by wealth or revenge is what cures the moral sickness of the narrative.
It forces Dr. Chadha, and you as the reader, to realize that all the structural power in the world is ultimately fragile.
So fragile.
When the systems of privilege inevitably fail, the only safety net left is the shared humanity we so often ignore. Kailash wasn't saved by his father's medical degree or his own college lectures.
Yeah.
He was saved by the mercy of a man who had every legitimate reason to let him die.
It's a profound realization about the invisible threads that connect us, regardless of the boundaries we try to build. And as we wrap up today, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Okay, let's hear it.
Think about Pagat slipping away in the dawn light. Did he leave silently because a true act of duty requires absolutely no applause and no transaction? Or did he leave because receiving a reward from the man who let his son die would have cheapened the purity of his revenge through kindness?
Wow.
Is ultimate unconditional forgiveness actually the most powerful way to assert dominance over someone who wronged you?
It is a brilliant, unsettling paradox to consider. The line between supreme grace and ultimate vengeance is incredibly thin here.
It really is. Well, thank you so much for exploring the depths of this incredible story with us.
It was a pleasure.
If you enjoyed this analysis, you absolutely must subscribe to the Simplified Summary YouTube channel right now. Hit that like button and please drop a comment below. We want to hear your take. Would you have walked away from the reward, or would you have taken the money to change your family's life? Let us know. Until next time, keep looking past the surface and keep digging deeper.